welcome to Focus Garage. Today, we're going to talk about the new Harley engine, the crate engine they just released. We want to talk about Harley versus Indian in this episode.
The big V-twin boys.
Yeah, compare those V-twins and a little bit of specs and technical details and all that stuff. So, I'm going to let Mike take over and talk about his side of why Indian engine makes whatever horsepower it makes, and is it better than a Harley or not?
Yeah, so do you want to start off and kind of talk about the Harley engine? So that's what we're titling the video here.
You're going to throw it back at me?
Yeah, just catch it and throw it right back in your hands.
All right, let's start doing that then.
How many cubes?
131 cubic inches, so that kind of translates into 2.2 liter,
Just shy, right?
Yeah, just shy of 2.2 liter. And it's V-twin, so it big pistons, thumping around. Like
they gotta be like the size of a softball at that point.
I didn't even calculate how big the pistons are, because you can do that with the bore and stroke and calculate the area of the piston, but they are big. They're bigger than the 114 Milwaukee 8 engine they have currently.
And then their biggest engine before this right now is for the CVOs. They got the 117.
117, yeah. And this is, I believe you can turn your 114 into a 131 if you want. There are kits out there.
Yep.
And this is slightly different, according to Harley.
Yeah. So they've got two versions of it, not to steal the thunder from you. They've got basically the 131 crate engine, which is what we're going to be covering here. Yep. But they also do have the ability for you to turn your 114 or 117 into a 131 using off-the-shelf Harley parts.
And it's a Screaming Eagle.
131. But we're talking about just the crate 131 right now.
We're going to talk about the new engine they just come out with. So what's the difference? It has bigger pistons, obviously. I think bore and stroke stay the same. It's just the bigger pistons. And then it has because it has a bigger jug and bigger injectors, different cam, and it revs a little bit more. I think it revs to 6,000.
Something right around there, yeah.
Compared
between
to
58 and 61, something like that.
Yeah, and it makes the horsepower up top too. I think it makes the peak horsepower, which is 121 horsepower. It makes it at 5,500 RPM, and also the torque 131. That's pretty, cool.
131 torque, 131 engine.
Yeah, exactly, and it's a lot of torque, and and you can swap this engine into any you can swap this engine into your Harley if you have the 114 engine.
Yep.
So it's a direct swap, and it has warranty and all that stuff as long as it's done by the Harley dealership.
Yeah, it's using all the same architecture as a Milwaukee 8 engine. So this is still a Milwaukee 8 engine. It's got the same, number of valves per cylinder and everything like that. It's the same kind of architecture, but like what Anders saying, it's just everything's bigger. Like throttle body, everything.
Throttle body as well. Yeah, I forget about it. 55 versus 61 or something like that.
Yep. So they're just getting more air and more fuel into this bigger motor there, and then it is still an air-cooled motor.
Engine, yeah. That's really
it's a lot of power for something with no liquid cooling.
I mean, if you think about it, the last air-cooled powerful engine was designed by Porsche, and it was like an inline 6. I don't even know how much horsepower it made, but it did not make that much horsepower. And this is just a giant. It's just between your legs and thumping around, and it's a really cool feeling. So this is the Harley engine. What does Indian have that is currently kind of competitive with it?
So one thing I want to jump into before we go too far into the Indian one is the cost of the Harley engine there. Yeah. So for you, so go ahead. If you want to put this engine in your bike and you've got a Milwaukee 8, touring bike or a Softail, what's it going to run you?
The engine just itself is $6,000 plus whatever the dealer is going to charge you.
And the real thing that they don't throw at you either is that it also does not include the software and the tuning for that motorcycle. So
different,
parts, labor, installation, you're probably knocking down the door of $10,000.
Yeah. And you can turn your 114 into 131 Screaming Eagle for like half the
that's
the
like
price.
$3,000 or so dollars.
$3,500, somewhere around that. And that also does not include software.
Exhaust parts may or may not be included also. I think the head pipes are included with this 131. So as long as you got some type of mufflers, you're good to go. But yeah, just all in, for the motor alone, you're $6,100 or so. So you got to figure out the rest yourself.
So you probably spent $6,000 plus
on a bike that's already expensive, because the Milwaukee it's only been around since 2017 or so.
Yeah.
So
what are you, like 28?
What?
No, not 28,000. No. Like 18 to 25.
Yeah, like the cheapest Milwaukee that you can buy that was new was like a soft tail for probably like 16, 17. Okay, so
there you go.
It's building up. So anyways, with the Indian motorcycle now, so one of the new things that they've got is a Power Plus engine. Yeah. So Indian is obviously one of the American manufacturers that rivals Harley Davidson with making V-twin motorcycles, whether it's touring bikes or kind of smaller bikes, whatever. Their big new innovation is the Power Plus. Power plant. That's funny. So they got a power plant called the Power Plus, and they debuted this engine in the Indian Challenger, which I may have a lot of you already seen. We made a video about that, kind of comparing thoughts and feedback versus a Road Glide on that bike. So its first appearance is actually in that Challenger, and the reason why this motor is so innovative and groundbreaking and kind of throwing people off is because it's liquid cooled. Wow. Now, what that's going to mean is that it'll allow Indian to make similar or more power than the Harleys with less displacement because the engine's going to be working more efficiently due to that liquid cooling.
How big is this engine?
So the Power Plus is 108 cubes, so versus the Harley 131. So you got them right kind of in a big difference of ballpark there. But the power is what's going to be really, really interesting here. This actually makes one more horsepower than the 131. So the 131, you're at what,
121 horsepower.
So you're making 122 horsepower.
Wow.
With this 108, which again, liquid versus air, you're going to have that back and forth there, and then you're making 128 torque. So a little bit less.
That's pretty close too. Yeah.
A little bit less, but very, very close. And what the funny thing about this is that these engines have a lot of different architecture. Versus the liquid cooling, the different size cubes and everything like that. But the power numbers are very, very close. Now, there's a lot of different architecture with the way the cylinder head is and, the cam and everything like that with this Indian motorcycle. But the biggest thing is people are looking at, they're making this much power in that much smaller of an engine. People are wondering what the modability is going to be like on these Indian bikes.
A lot of people think that when a manufacturer releases in this case, it would be a motorcycle engine, but car manufacturers, when they release a hot up version of their cars, it's usually at the limit. That's what they expect, but there are a lot of cars that can make
especially
lot more
nowadays now with modern fueling and turbocharging with cars and stuff like that. There's a lot of room left on the table for kind of aftermarket
especially
tinkering.
If it's turbo, you can slap in a bigger turbo, bigger injectors, and
better tune, all kinds of stuff. So the one thing too to point out, kind of speaking on the fact of improvements, modifications, things like that, that Harley motor, that 131 crate, it is emissions compliant, and everywhere besides California. Yeah, everywhere besides California.
If you're in California, I'm really sorry about that. You can't even get the Screaming Eagle either. So.
Yeah, they've got their own weird set of breadcrumb eating rules out there where they got to be very, very careful what they can and can't do. But it is cool that you can install something like that that's like OEM aftermarket, and you don't have to worry about if you're in an area where they do emissions testing. You're still going to pass. Everything's going to check out. Yeah. And the beauty, obviously, of the Power Plus is that's a stock engine in a motorcycle. You go buy any Indian Challenger today, you're getting that power plant. Yeah. Stock. So when you're comparing just the value standpoint, I think the Challenger starts at low 20s, I want to say, 21-ish, compared to somebody that bought a Harley, put $6,000 to $10,000 into upgrading to a 131 to make on paper almost the exact same power as you.
If you just talk about the engine, you spent $6,000. That's like $25,000 right there, like that.
And that's not even with getting into the bigger, more expensive touring bikes. You're buying a $29,000, ultra classic or whatever.
One thing I want to give a fun fact about. I don't know if you knew about this, but going to the Indian's head, the valves, they are the same style as the C7.
Really?
Corvette. Yeah, C7 Corvette valves.
The newer LT1?
Yes.
Really?
It has the same angles and stuff. It's really cool. I might be saying this wrong, but it is
somebody fact check him. And if he's wrong, rip him a new one in the comments.
I want to,
because this is news to me.
No. I'm sorry. I'm going to correct myself. It has the same valve design, the orientation as the C6Z06.
Okay, so the LS7.
LS7, yes. There LS7 style head. The valve, the angle of the valve to the piston and all that stuff. I thought that was really cool. I just wanted to say that,
Just a little fun fact for you guys. We sprinkle all that in there. But something that I want to mention as well with the Indian engine is that a lot of people, for whatever reason, they're stuck in this antiquated mindset thinking that a liquid-cooled motor is uglier or it doesn't give you that same V-twin feel or anything like that. And if you've looked at a Challenger, the way they've implemented the cooling system,
does not look like...
You literally almost don't even see the radiator, the way they've tucked it in between the frame and everything like that. It's very, very well done.
Even on the head, you don't even really see the jackets or anything like that.
It's done cleanly.
The other thing I want to talk about is that, when we compare the engines, so liquid cool, air cool, overhead cams, push rods.
I totally forgot about that with the Indian. That's the biggest thing right there. It's the overhead cam motor. So
cams, yeah.
You got multiple cams in this thing here.
And versus push rod, and then I think, I mean, besides the pistons difference and all that stroke, and besides that, I can't really think of anything else that would be too like different, like so opposite of different. I don't know. I can't explain myself here, but
I get what you're saying, because it's like
those are the biggest difference. Yeah. Air cooled versus liquid cooled. Overhead
single cam, overhead cam, versus push rods. But at the same time, these are V-twin engines that are in American Cruiser, touring bikes. So it's very interesting to see the different paths that these two companies are going. And my biggest thing is that, you know, competition drives innovation and everything like that. So what I wonder what's going to stem from this is if you're going to see a direct competitor from Harley Davidson to match this new Indian motor. It'll be really interesting to see if they get into liquid cooling.
Oh, that's interesting. I mean, there's a lot of things going on at Harley. There were a couple of news. I'm sure you guys seen it. They're talking about electric scooters and stuff.
Yeah, they're getting into like electric bicycles, electric scooters, all that.
That would be interesting. That's like going back to their root besides being electric, but you know, Harley Davidson would make bicycles and stuff. That would be interesting, but I do see that Harley coming back with maybe like a little bit bigger engine, better.
They can't be outdone, you know. They got them by the 1 horsepower.
they gotta do better job on their. This is a great engine, and Indian has
from the factory.
From the factory, it's available engine in a cruiser or in a what do you call that? Like a touring bike.
Touring bike, yeah.
So like I wonder if Harley is going to come up with a different engine than the 131 for their.
Exactly, because on paper, it's not a comparison. Like you could walk in an Indian dealership right now and buy a Challenger with this engine, you're good. Yeah. You buy a Harley, you're either gonna have to, you know, upgrade your 114 or upgrade your 117 or completely motor swap your bike to get this engine. And you know the cost isn't even comparable to just going in and buying a Challenger. So when you're comparing apples to apples, Harley still doesn't have anything to match this. Yeah, they've come out with an aftermarket option for the people that really want to brag and keep it all OEM and say they're doing it the Harley way. But it's still not the same as walking into a store and buying a bike that's set up and ready to compare.
So, the real question is, you have a Harley touring bike.
I do.
Would you swap the 131 in it?
No. So for what you pay, and don't get me wrong, this is where it comes into like the OEM versus aftermarket thing. You can get so much more for your money. So I have a 107 Milwaukee 8, and if I wanted to modify that bike to make similar power to that new 131, I could throw a cam in it and, you know, do a full exhaust and a tune and make very, very near similar power to that and cost me thousands less. So I understand that you know, the
But it wouldn't be covered under warranty.
Exactly. It wouldn't be covered under warranty. It's not going to be emissions compliant. So you deal with all that. But there's easier ways to go about if you wanted to upgrade the power that you're making there. Yeah. It's cool that they offer it, and I'm sure they're offering it for a reason. You know, people are going to be out there to buy just to say that they have the biggest engine that Harley Davidson produces, you know, that you could just buy.
Interesting, yeah.
It's cool. And, of course, Harley, they really like to play up on the branding thing. When you're looking at their website and you're reading about this 131 engine, they literally tell you all the different emblems and plaques that you're going to get with the 131 on the cam cover, on your air intake, all this different stuff where, don't worry.
You got to let people know.
You're going to let everybody know.
You know.
Oh, you got all the cubes there.
All of them.
So it's interesting. Not something I'd personally be interested in, but it's really cool that they've got it out there and available for people that do want it. That being said, the much better option if you're just strictly going for performance and power is just to buy one of these Indian bikes with a Power Plus.
So, I mean, would you look into buying an Indian bike then?
I want to ride one. I want to see what it feels like, you know, because I've heard that the beauty about that Power Plus engine is that it makes power throughout the whole power band. Yeah. So a lot of these Harley bikes stock, they're torquey down low, but they run out of steam up top.
I saw the 131's you know, HB chart, the dyno chart, and
it looks good.
Yeah, it looks pretty flat. The torque and the horsepower, it's pretty flat, and it revs higher too. So that's pretty cool as well.
It's commendable.
Yeah, I mean, I like bikes that are rev pretty high. So that's my enjoyment from a bike ownership. But going back to, I don't want to go way over off topic, but riding any Yamaha cruiser bagger. It was pretty bad.
Oh, so talk about like revving and power band.
Oh my god! Like
the bike revs for like 2 seconds and you have to shift.
It's like and the red line was at 4,500, but the dial showed 55, and I maybe I was making a mistake. Maybe I didn't see it correctly or not. But another person that was in the demo day said the same thing. Maybe these bikes are demo bikes, they're tuned differently, whatever the reason is, it would hit rev limiter and flat on. It was not pleasant to ride. So having higher rev limiter, I think that's pretty cool.
And you got to understand though that like cruiser bikes and touring bikes aren't really meant to be revved out like sport bikes where you're taking them at 13,000 RPMs. They're supposed to make the torque down low and kind of have more of that muscly punch. At least
from like a get go, from like a stop to.
You don't want to have to shift 3 times to get up the traffic speed.
Especially, I don't like shifting when I'm cornering.
Oh yeah,
that's my biggest like. It's a personal thing. I don't like it, and with the Venture, I had to shift
because your power band's like that small.
It was horrible. So I did not have a pleasant time riding it. But I'm actually looking forward to go to Indian Demo Day and try out
one of these.
Chieftain. Yeah.
Not Challenger.
Yeah, Challenger. Sorry.
So that's the other thing too. To not get totally off topic here, I want to see what else, if anything else, that Indian puts this Power Plus engine into. They've got this new engine they've developed. They put a ton of time and money into it. Right now, it's only in one of their bikes. They don't, not that I know of, sell it as a craded motor because it's liquid cooled, so you can't really just easily fit on other bikes. Yeah. And it's not in any of their other bikes. They've got the Chieftain and all those other bikes. I think the Springfield, these other touring bikes. I'd be curious to see if they're going to offer, maybe one.
It would make sense to offer another one.
So time will tell.
Yeah. So before we go way off the topic, I would like to end this video here.
Good call.
And ask our viewers, what do you guys think about I know it's different, but Indian versus Harley. Do you guys think Harley has a chance of beating the Indian with this engine? And do you think it's a good idea that they have this engine as available as a out of the box from one of their bikes, or ready to go, even California emission ready and stuff like that? So let us know in the comments. And also, if you guys like our video, please share, like, and subscribe as well.
That's going to be pretty much it for this one.
Yep. Kudos all.
Catch you in the next one.